hear and see me okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
I was on my, just getting it going here. Try talking again?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Cool. And then I saw Miss Thing in the background there. How have you guys been?
Good.
Good.
Guys been okay?
Did Mike figured out a better interval for her medication, so the clonidine actually works.
Yeah, it's more certainly more consistent. Still
Talk to me. What's the magic? Give me thoughts.
it's a full 2 hours. Full two
A
hours
full
delay.
2 hours. Okay. Okay. And like with the full 2 hours, what else, what does that give you guys? Like what is consistent effect and what is the effect if so?
We haven't really tested the limits yet, but for whatever amount of time I've been gone with the 2 hours, it's been effective, which generally is when I have my physical therapy appointments, which are about hour 15, hour 20 of absence. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh,
So it's at
good.
least that. And let me just look at my log here.
Yeah.
Student.
No, you're good. You're good. That's awesome. Good.
So yeah, it was. I think the longest was an hour and a half.
Awesome.
The worst thing that happened was she went off the bed to the threshold of the room, which you'll probably see here, but there was no barking. Basically, the last 4 times we've done it, there's been no barking, which is the idea.
And when she went over to the door threshold, was it just like she went over there, she stood there, or was it like she went over there, started panting and like getting all like stressy versus?
It was a little hard to tell because it's a little further away from the camera, but
Gotcha.
it seemed like she was just sitting there. She was laying down, alert. She wasn't like relaxed, but she wasn't.
Okay.
It didn't seem like she was panicking. Although I
Okay.
imagine
All right.
the, probably would have built up to a panic with more time, probably. But
Understandable, but it sounds like we returned within the threshold of her still being relaxed, not escalating over that threshold, which essentially, I'll be honest, that sounds exactly how I want it to sound as you guys move forward with different durations of departures. So the beginning, talk to me when you first left with the clonidine in full effect, did you see an apparent change? Like, was she able to like settle into that, like you walking to the door, getting out of the room and leaving type of thing a lot better than you've seen in the past? What did the exit look like?
well, she was pretty high.
Okay.
So
Hits are hard.
yeah, it hits her pretty hard. So she was, clearly sleepy.
Okay.
What I would do is I would bring her into the bedroom, put her on the bed,
Okay.
and then I would have in advance taken the clothes I need to change into for physical therapy already, like hours before, taking it out of the room.
Gotcha.
I would get changed, get my keys and stuff, and then I would look in, just glance as I'm leaving, and she would still be on the bed and just chilling. And then whenever I would look at the camera, she would generally still be on the bed chilling, and then but eventually she would usually get up and come down to the
All
floor.
right. So that right there, how you just, that right there is what we want to try to cultivate. And that's why we're here going to do this mat stuff today, because how you were able to like peek in and kind of check in on the toddler. Are you still in your crib, asleep, snoozy town? Can I continue washing the dishes? Like that type of thing. That's what I eventually want without that clonidine, or at least with the goal of being able to dose lower doses. But I really like to get my patients off those situational meds, have the learning take place through framework, through foundation, and how you just mentioned through you getting ready. Yes, you had to prep your clothes in another room and kind of elicit that context in a different area, but through that she was on the bed, through that she was relaxing in. That's what this mat training we want to try to cultivate. So talk to me. This is awesome. I'm so excited. What have we done with the mat so far? Because I kind of just want to like dive in, but I know, Mom, you were working a little bit more on this when we chatted last, and you kind of talked to me about where the pieces that you guys had gone up to. Do you have any questions or thoughts on where you're at before we dive into it together?
I don't think so. Mike's been doing it the last couple days. Mostly.
Nice.
Um, yeah, sometimes she gets like you'll treat her off the mat and then she gets confused. She's like, "Well, did she give me a treat? Like, where is it?"
Yeah,
Gotcha.
she's very. It's interesting. She's good, and I can probably show it to you in a moment.
Yeah.
If I toss the treat away to reset, like opposite me, like away from me, she will then come back to the mat and eventually do a sit down, and
Yeah.
down. But if I toss it like between me and the mat to get her off the mat, then she'll just take it and then just look up at me and like will not go back to the mat.
Interesting. Okay. So I get it. I totally get it. I see this happen in the exam room a lot when I'm working with dogs that I've never worked with before, and I'm trying to really figure out like, are you getting this? I don't know you as a learner. Are you not? What I will start to do is phase out that crossover, but not have it be treating right in front of me to begin. So I might start doing like the side angle effect where I'm really questioning, are they knowing the behavior, or is this reset of the treat kind of doing it for them? Does that make sense? And we can kind of play around with that where it may not be, all right, stop resetting all the way ahead of her across the mat. Don't reset right in front of you. Now let's try to the side a couple times to see if does she really get what we want, or is that concept of just the natural motion just continuing it? Do you want to just like dive in? Do you guys want to lay down the mat, and maybe if you can change the angle of the camera? I want you, what I tell my clients when we start this, I don't want you to feel any human pressure. I just want you to start this session as if I was not here. So however, Mike, maybe you started your last session with her, pull out the mat, kind of get in that routine. And then I'm going to start kind of narrating some guidance as you guys are working together, kind of using that word critique lightly, but hopefully giving you guys some support on like next steps to focus on and everything.
No.
Is that a cat? Do you guys have a cat?
Yeah.
Oh, look at her. She knows the deal. Good. All right.
She
Oh
doesn't
my gosh.
like the bedroom, but she's very food motivated. We've only had her about,
The cat.
yes.
We've only had her about 3 months.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at her. She knows exactly what you want from her. She went right over to that mat. Now she's bouncing between her little sits and her downs. Look at that tail go. Very good timing with your clicker. Nice reset. We'll kind of see what builds. Nice. Good stuff. So let her think. So I don't want you to do anything. I want you to ignore. I want the gears in her brain to turn. Don't offer any lure or prompt. I want you to give her a moment. Look at her thinking. She's thinking. I want to see if we can give her another second. And if she motions back over to that mat, I don't even want you to wait for a DOWN. Let's just have her think for a moment. I don't want that to work. Don't click it. Don't treat it. Let her think through and see if we can get this natural process of her offering that behavior again. I see the tail going. She's thinking. I don't want to get her frustrated, so we may do a reset here in a few seconds if she doesn't offer that change of behavior, but I want to see if she'll think through it. Oh, she's looking around. Let her think. If she gets up and starts motioning towards the mat, I want you to click that. We'll make it easy since this is difficult for her. I love that your question. Look at how quickly we got into answering it. This is really good. I do think that concept of the reset is getting the best of us. So now what I want you to do, Mike, I want to get her out of this motion because I don't want her to get frustrated. I want you to naturally reset her where you reset her that first repetition across the mat. I want to get back into the groove of saying, all right, I'm not even going to click this. I'm just going to get you up. I need to get in the standing position. Let's get you more successful. Let's see if we can get a rep of her going back to the mat. And go ahead, click it. Treat the same area that you just did.
I wasn't sure which one.
Oh, there you go. Look at that. And if she goes back into that DOWN, let's see if she offers. Just ignore. Let's see if she can offer down. And if so, I want you to click. We'll do one more reset. And then I think we might be ready for another challenge here.
So good.
Yeah, she got a little hip hop lean into that.
Praise?
Any questions, Mike? I can hear you. What you thinking?
Sorry. Should I be praising when she does it right?
Oh, you totally can. So the clicker's going to do the talking for you. And that's like the biggest piece. But between the click, you're more than welcome to say, you are such a good girl. Awesome job. There you go. Those types of things. Kind of be her cheerleader. But don't forget, if you start vocalizing, don't forget the click, if that makes sense. That's the most important piece. What other thoughts?
Good girl.
All right. So now what I'm going to, there we go. Look at this now that we're starting to build. So let her think. Ooh, she gets frustrated and a little stumped here. Let's see if she'll work through this.
Yeah, this is the challenge.
Yeah, I want to see if she can get to the point where she starts understanding, okay, this isn't working. Going to the mat is what's working. But let's see, some dogs, when they get frustrated, they will just offer what they know will work eventually, which is what she's defaulting to with that down. So let's go ahead, just reset her. Naturally, just reset, no click, no marker. And I'd use, let's go ahead and click with the down here. Oh, and we got a little hip hop. Did you guys see the hip hop there?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Should I
Let's
reward
see
this now, or should we?
Let's wait for it. I want to see if we get that again. So don't click right away. Let's see if she'll relax into it. Still a little tight Sphinx pose. Don't click just yet. And this is actually where I was hoping we'd get to. Yeah, okay, so now we're leaning. Now click and then treat with the reset. And then I want to talk real fast about something that we're going to be changing here. So this next time, if you see her go into a down position, I want you to wait for the hip hop, for that lean in. Then I want you to click, but this time when you treat, I want you to treat directly on the ground, on the mat in front of her 2 front paws. So she doesn't even have to get up and get it. She can just eat it right there where she's relaxing. And I would go ahead, if she has leaned in, if she's hip hopped, I'd click.
Yeah, she is.
Good. And now the reason I just asked you to no longer continue that reset, yeah, look at that lean in. So now she's starting to kind of give you that weight shift. Now we're going to start clicking and treating some physiological relaxation, like not that tight Sphinx down that she was offering us for the first like 4 to 5 reps. No longer is that going to work. I want that relaxed hip hop, chin drop, weight shift, really puddle like into the mat down. Now, the reason I asked you to start treating that when you see it after clicking it right there in front of her on the mat, because I want to continue that relaxation. Now we need to build a little bit of duration behind the relaxation before I add you guys in as a distraction. So click here with the, yes, perfect. And now the goal is going to be, if we come out of that hip hop and we go back into it, you're going to click again, you're going to treat again. Eventually, I want to see additional relaxation past just this hip hop. The chin going down. So she just dropped weight a little bit more into that down. It was very minuscule. But yeah, so even here, looking down towards the ground, though it does not seem like to us, that's further relaxation. That's where it's going to start to progress into the full chin down with weight shift and relaxation. So now what we're going to start to look for is the hip hop, the chin dropping to the ground, full leaning or weight shifting over. Some dogs like to relax on their side. And when we click these or mark these behaviors, we are going to treat so that she does not need to break this relaxation that she's now built up to. Before I kind of talk more through this, do you guys have questions on this change? Now, no longer resetting, looking for additional relaxation. Any questions before I talk about duration?
So what she just did, she was still making eye contact with us, but her head kind of went like down a little bit, like bobbed. Is that enough to treat?
Right there, yeah, like what you just saw right there where she did a little head dip. It kind of is like her checking out the ground looking for a freebie, but it's getting her closer to that chin fully down on the ground and full relaxation than she was before. So I'd definitely be taking that.
And
That was a really good question. And did that example kind of answer that?
Yeah. A general question I have is just like, how long should I wait for her to give me these behaviors that I'm not commanding her to do?
Yeah, I mean, this is the goal. This is the challenge about the technique that we're using, in the sense that I need her to be offering this. It's not about you telling her like relax, right? Or breathe slower. Like she knows how to lay down. It's not about her laying down. It's about her actually like taking a breath and relaxing. So I don't want you to have to command her. I want her making the decision. Now, eventually, the goal is now not laying down the mat and then getting her to sit or lay tight in a Sphinx. And this is where we might need to talk about duration. Eventually, it's laying down the mat. She goes right over to it, pops her hips, starts to give you maybe some of that chicken head pop down towards the ground, and you're clicking and you're treating those. This is where we're cultivating duration of being relaxed on the mat. And once we get to this portion, I don't necessarily need her with her chin fully down on the ground to layer in you guys as a distraction. But what I'm looking for is for you guys to start cultivating more of that relaxation. Lovely job there. Beautiful click and good job treating. I want to cultivate some of this duration of hip hop, chin getting closer to the ground, so that as we layer you guys in as a distraction, you guys stand up, take a few steps towards the gate, she knows a framework of, okay, if I lay here, even if I don't have my hip fully popped and my chin fully down as they move, it's still valuable because I've been even more successful past that point, even further than just this Sphinx. I know how to melt into this, that I can go back to that framework. So questions, because I think we are actually ready to start having you guys layer in as a distraction piece. One of you guys today, probably not both, but do you guys have any questions with what we're doing now, clicking and treating additional relaxation for duration on the mat?
Yeah, how long should we continue treating her when she's in like this kind of pose, like treating between her paws, as opposed to throwing it away from the mat and then seeing if she offers this?
Yeah, good question. So it's kind of different with each dog. Some dogs that get a little frustrated. So I'm noticing a little frustration starting to cultivate from her, how she's starting to offer like that paw paddle is what I call it, where she's like kicking it out and then like lifting her head, seeing if like what else will work. Hey, what else is getting me the treat? So if I'm seeing a lot of frustration, I may just give a dog a moment to toss them away, do a reset, and say, okay, you're not offering the additional relaxation, like the hip's not popping further, you're not becoming more puddle-like, the chin's not dropping for additional relaxation. If she's like chinning like a little chicken and it's not actually building duration, maybe we're getting to the point where we need to just reset you. Do you even want to do this anymore? And if you do, are we still as relaxed as we were when we first started? And coming back to the mat is going to give you guys that feedback. She went all the way back to the mat and popped that hip like a queen. So I think she still is able to continue to work. I would be now looking to see if we're actually ready to stimulate her a little bit more through this with that distraction piece. And this is where your training sessions should start going to as we start diving into this, where once we do work on coming to the mat, and this is how I think about it, do a warm up. She comes to the mat, offers a Sphinx down, click, reset, do that 5 repetitions. Now we're focusing on duration of physiological relaxation. So next, she comes to the mat after those 5 warm-up reps, pops her hip, drops her chin, click, treat on the mat. Maybe we look for those behaviors, another 5 reps. Now we need to get into you guys standing and physically moving away. Because she doesn't have to be snoozy town for us to teach her like, hey, us leaving you is the best thing. I need her to be awake and alert. So questions in regards to layering in you guys as a distraction piece. Before I go over that, do we have any additional questions up to this point?
No, I think we're good. Let's do it.
Right. So then, Mike, since you're the one that's been doing the clicking and the treating, you are kind of like the handler, quote unquote, right now. We're gonna work on you being the distraction piece today with the time that we have together. Okay. So what this is ultimately going to look like is I want her to incrementally be exposed to you standing multiple repetitions, sitting back down between those. And she can take a break. If she needs to do a little reset, she can while I'm like verbally walking you through this. What we're going to be doing is after we get another little hip pop, chin drop down, maybe we get 2 more reps of that physiological relaxation. I'm going to ask you to physically stand up. No movement thereafter. You are just standing. I'm looking for her to just stay down on that mat. It doesn't have to be this puddle-like down. I don't still need the hip fully popped or the chin down to the ground, but I still want to see that down position. So here in a moment, I go ahead and click and treat the next little hip pop that you see. And then once you treat right between her little paws, give her a second. I want her to actually see you physically stand up. And once you stand up and she still is in that down position, and we can do it after she resets back into this, you are going to click. You stand up, she's still laying down on mat, you click. And then at this point, this is where you're going to treat right between those paws. And I would even try it now once you see that hip pop. You can go ahead and click and treat that, and then we can progress into the stand.
Oh.
All right, so we'll be even more incremental. So I want you to sit back down. That gives us some good feedback. I want you to allow her to come back to the mat. I want you to click and treat the hip pop right in front of that paw, drop that treat. And we're gonna click and treat some duration right here for a moment. I want her to settle back into this mat. And now what you're gonna do here in a second, instead of a full stand, I wanna see if we can get back into that relaxed position a little bit further before before we layer in that distraction piece again. Instead of a 100% stand, I want you to break this down. It's going to feel like you're doing squats for a second, and I'm sorry, but this is where we have to go to with some of these dogs that are super sensitive with movement. Instead of a full throttle 100% stand up, I want you to kind of stand up halfway, see if that doesn't elicit any much movement from her. Click. If not, treat as you sit back down. I take it, treat it right on the mat. We'll take it as a starting piece.
Okay, she stood up there, so I'm gonna try it.
Yep, try it again.
I'll do
And
it.
I would wait for her to get back in the down position. If you need to do a full reset, you can.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, let's try and see if we can get that hip hop. Nice. Click and treat. Perfect. Sitting down is what I call home base. I don't want you to stand up and start your next repetition until she's back in that down position, potentially with that hip hop. That's really what I'd like to see before you layer in yourself as that distraction. And if you need to, this is going to sound weird. Some dogs, when we first start this, they may need a reset. So right now, if you need to reset and just see if we can get back her going to the mat, laying down, popping hip, you stand, you click, treat back at home base as you sit. You may need to do that whole flow. Let's see if she can offer that down. Let's just give her a second. She's funny. She's like, now I'm just going to stare you out. All right, click and treat. I wouldn't stand just yet. I'd click and treat that down. Oh, let's see if she can do it.
Well, I just did, so.
No, it's okay. It's all right. So since she offered the down after some time of nothing, of just that sit, I'd first click and treat that, let her know that was really good. Good job, girlfriend. And then I would say, all right, now I'm going to stand. Now that you're relaxed and down, let me stand. And I would even try halfway, do that 50% stand for me. Go ahead and do it now. And if she doesn't move, I want you to click. And then treat as you go back down. I'd take the sit. She hasn't bobbled off the mat. I'd still take the sit for now and see if we can eventually cultivate her to say, all right, the sit works, but also the down. Let's see what we can do. So I'm going to have you stand again, and I'd click even if you see that sit. A sit or a down right now will take from her. Perfect. And now I want you to give me a little bit more of a stand. I see you're going about 50%. Give me about 75, maybe not the full throttle with energy. And then click it, come back down to home base, sit back down. Good. And now I want you to give her a second. Don't stand just yet. I want to see if we can get a little bit more hip hop into her. See if we can get a little bit less of the paw pedals, seeing a little bit of that frustration. So I don't want to push her just yet with your stand. See if we can settle back into this little relaxation for duration. And if she doesn't give us any more hip hop, that's okay. We can just click and treat the fact that we were just sitting here together, no movement, everything was successful. Treat right, perfect, right on the mat. And now let's get back into the stand. I want you to go almost 100% and then click and treat if she did. Perfect. Good. Treat it between her paws. Lovely. All right. Full throttle stand 100% of the way. Let's see if we can be successful here. Click it.
Oh.
That was good. I take it though. That was very hard for her. So now what we're going to focus on is seeing if we can get back in that down position, seeing if we can see some of that hip hop. I think we're ready for the full throttle stand, but I want you to be really quick with your timing. Right when you stand, click, and then come back to that sit as you're treating back to her paws.
Good girl.
Yeah, beautiful. And now we're starting to see some good ability for her to stay in that down. So let's see if we can get settled back in, and then we'll see if we can get to the extent of you taking some step. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but we'll see. So full throttle stand 100%. Click when you're at the top, then sit back down as you treat. Lovely. We'll do that one more time, and then I'm going to push her today. I'm not sure if she's 100% ready, but I want you to feel the next piece of you standing and moving away. Go ahead, one more. Perfect. Good job. Look at you guys. So much better than when we first started that stand up. All right, this time, Mike, hold on one second. I want you to take a stand, but then thereafter, you are going to take a micro baby step. Like this is going to be the smallest step you've ever thought about taking in the world, knowing how hard it was for her when we even just layered in you standing. So what's going to happen is you're going to stand, small micro baby step. You can do that towards like your left, like I would like you to walk towards the gate eventually, but since we're taking just one step, you can kind of motion towards your left if you want to. And then if she is still down or sitting, I will take either behavior on that mat. That's where I want you to click. And then as you come back to sit back down on that bed, you'll treat between her paws on that mat. Do you have questions with that?
No, that makes sense. So the click happens at the apex of the stand or walking.
Yes, you got it. That's going to mark to her the kind of mathematical equation. All right, I stood up, I took a step, you stayed relaxed on that mat, check box with the click. Now let me give you your paycheck with the treat. Let's see if we can get, yeah, all right. Lovely. Now back to home base. When you treat, sit back down. Great. And then we'll wait for her to lay in that nice little offered relaxed position. We'll see if we can get back into that. As these sessions build with this distraction piece and criteria, we may do less and less reps because she may not be able to handle as much of the higher criteria. With the goal of next time, we'll get to these steps sooner and you'll be able to end on more steps. Let's see if we can get back into that down, though. If you want to do a reset, you can. She did actually really good with that that step that you took, Mike. I was impressed there. Let's go ahead and take another baby step here. Good. Click, treat back to home base. Let's see if she'll offer that down again. Oh, she's so funny. She like completely resets herself. All the way on the corner. She's like, here I am. All right.
Yeah. Well, this is how we normally have done training. Is she'll be alert at attention and she'll be doing her tricks and her commands.
That's amazing. All right, let's see if she offers down, and if not, I may push her for the last like minute or two and see what she can give us in a sit. Ultimate goal for this exercise is to cultivate that relaxed hip hop chin drop down while I stand and move away from you. But it's okay if we're not in snoozy town, relaxed, full, with that body language to do this. I want you to try it one time. Mike, let's go ahead and see what happens if you stand, take that micro step while she's in the sit. And I'd click here, though she did a little dance for you, she still was very successful at staying in that sit. All right, I want you to do a reset in full back towards the gate, how you've been doing previous. And we're gonna see if she can end on one last repetition. I want to see if we can end on last one rep, or she comes to the mat, gives us that full leaned in down. Oh, let's see if she can do it. And then I want you to do the same rep, standing, step, click, treat back down. Yeah, all right. And now I want to end here and I want to talk about questions and the next pieces to this. You're more than welcome to keep clicking and treating if she offers a down or anything further, like a hip hop or anything on the mat. But if it were me, I'd probably start ending the session, ending on a couple clicks and treats of downs, and then resetting and picking Matt up. What kind of questions, now that we're getting to the piece of you guys standing, moving, eventually you're going to take steps towards that gate area. What kind of questions do you guys have with these pieces?
So when we do training at home, should we progress to the standing and moving portion, or should we still practice like she's sitting like this, lowering her head? Should we still be practicing treating that?
Yeah, I want you to be doing both.
Okay.
So kind of how we did that warm up to begin with, where we kind of did rapid fire. She came to the mat, she laid down, you captured that, clicked with your clicker, treated away with that reset. I can envision now that that's your warm up right there, where that's rapid fire. That's now what we start these sessions on. The next piece that I want you guys to funnel into is some duration behind that. Before you guys start standing and moving, I want her to know that expectation. When you do stand and move, what do we want from you? We want duration of you just relaxing. So cultivate that for 5 to 6 repetitions. But ultimately, I want y'all ending your sessions how we just did, where you're going to be standing, maybe not just taking one step, but the goal is going to be take 2 and 3 eventually. And this is where we will most likely need a follow-up. Eventually, it's going to be, all right, now I need you to exit out, reach for gate, open up gate, shut gate after you've stepped out of gate, and then do that full exit. So right now, kind of how we just worked through that session is how I envision it looking for you guys, but adding in additional steps into those last few repetitions. Does that make sense?
Mhm. Yeah.
Awesome. That looked really good. Do you guys have any other questions?
I don't think so. It makes sense.
Mhm.
I can see what we're building up to. I think the logic of it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's very incremental. I mean, you saw how we had to break down that stand, right? Like she was like, "Whoa, you can't stand up that fast." We're like, "All right, that's fine. Let's just break it down a little bit." So the question will become as you guys work through this, and the reason I say this is because a lot of my clients, this will be, what is the first thing that is asked at the follow up from here? How do I know I'm moving too fast? You know you are moving too fast if your dog is physically standing and moving with you. That means we've gone too far. So what that means for you as a teacher is take 1 or 2 steps back in your criteria. So say, for example, we've ramped up to 3 steps and we've been doing 5 or 6 repetitions and she's done great. And then we get to that 6th step and we introduce that criteria and she's like, whoa, no, whoa, oh my God, no, I can't do that. I got to stand and I got to be very alert every single time. At that point, all right, that's okay. We're not successful. Let's go back to maybe 4 steps, do 3 reps there, then 5 again, revisit that, maybe do that 8 to 10 times, and then see if we can get to that 6th step. So don't ever hesitate. If you're not seeing that goal that we want to be seeing of her continuing that relaxation right there on that mat, drop that criteria. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Any
Yeah.
other questions from here, guys?
I'm just thinking about like the end point where we're getting ready to leave, the thing that's always so triggering for her. Like, is the end goal then like when we whip out that mat, she just goes to it?
The end goal is that she has that framework, right? That we can use that as her brain saying, okay, what do I do in this moment versus worrying about the fact that mom and dad are gone. At least I can go back to this one thing and do this. But it's got to be cultivated outside that stress. And that's why this is something that hopefully it'll give you that piece to work on to build for that departure. I think that's the hardest piece about separation anxiety, where a lot of the training is like, all right, leave them, be on the meds and like watch your camera. That's stressful within itself. At least this framework is going to allow you guys to have something for her to generalize eventually and then go back to on those departures. The goal is to get off clonidine, right? Though I love that we now have this piece, I want to eventually have her rely on this framework that you guys are cultivating with this therapy, to say, okay, I don't necessarily need the medication. I can still do this behavior. Good questions, though. Anything else, guys?
So should we schedule a meeting now and a follow-up, or should we schedule it once we're at the point of like getting towards the gate?
I want you guys to reach out to me when you are to the point where you are standing physically in front of the gate. That is going to be your homework piece. I do not want you guys moving forward with additional context of reaching for the gate, opening the gate, or stepping out of the gate unless I'm with you.
Got it.
So with that being said, I want your thoughts. This is where I kind of put the ball in your court. Either option, do we want to schedule something now? Do you think maybe a solid 2 weeks would give you guys enough time to work on that and cultivate up to that point? Or do you guys want to have me send you a link and you hop on my calendar? Do you guys want to email me once you are at that point and then we can just schedule a date like we did with this session? What works best for you guys?
The link to the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll send you guys a link then. That way we can coordinate with everyone's schedule. And hold on one second, let me just make myself a note. And then at that point, if you guys start progressing through this and say you guys work on a session like tomorrow and then the day after, follow that link. And if I have something as early as the latter half of next week, you can hop on their schedule and we can continue to progress with this. In the event, I always give this disclaimer as we get into the warm months. People start just popping out left and right wanting to train with it being springtime. If you do not see an open date in the time frame that you want, email me. I most likely can finagle things on my schedule to make the day and the time that you might need work. Okay.
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 Awesome. Anything else before we hop off?
Do I owe you any more money for this, or I thought did we pay for this already? Okay.
No, this was the latter half of the previous portion that we had last week.
Cool.
Last week? Yeah. So you guys, there's no payment for today. You guys are all set.
Sweet.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
I'll
Kaylin.
follow up with the link and then I'll plan to see you guys soon. Okay.
All right.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Take care. Bye.